Now let's talk about the transition from Circuit 5 to Circuit 6. A notable perspective shift takes place when someone either has a very strong Circuit 5 activation or lives consistently with Circuit 5 activated most of the time. Life no longer seems as linear as Circuit 3 knowledge would have us believe. It's as if Circuit 3 time binding loosens up a little. The binds aren't as tight. Life can be understood more metaphorically, like art, like a movie. People, objects, and situations take on symbolic meanings, not just literal meanings. When you watch a film or read a good novel, there are two perspectives you can view it from. The causal level, this happens, then this happens, then this happens, or A leads to B, leads to C. That's what we call the plot of the narrative. But there is also often a symbolic level meaning. Things happen in the story that convey meaning through symbols. For example, let's say we have a character in a film who is very closed off. They meet a romantic interest who, over the course of the film, opens the lead character up to a new way of living, a more emotionally open and free manner of being. As an audience, we notice that the romantic interest wears a small golden key on their necklace. So, in the film, that key carries a deep symbolic meaning for the audience. The savvy audience member might recognize that the key is a symbol for how the romantic interest is the key to transforming the lead character's life. So Circuit 5 opens the door for us to view our lives symbolically. We can call this the mytho-poetic life. As part of this shift, we start giving more attention to meaningful coincidences. Most of us have status quo imprinting that leads us to dismiss all coincidences in our lives as meaningless. You must be an idiot to think that a coincidence is more than just a chance occurrence. But with a strong Circuit 5 activation, coincidences take on a deeper meaning and draw more of your attention. Sometimes these coincidences seem to act as if they were a communication of some kind. For C.G. Jung, there are moments in which events in the external world and one's internal subjective world align. They align in such a way that strong meaning is created for the experiencer. This is what Jung called synchronicity. Jung developed the principle of synchronicity with help from a close collaborator, which I'll be introducing later. Synchronistic events are highly personal and seem to indicate some order or relationship between the outside world and one's inner world of experience. To the experiencer, there is a strong sense that something other than the probability of chance is involved. So, to be clear, not every coincidence is a synchronicity. Jung says that synchronicities, quote, have to do with spontaneous, meaningful coincidences of so high a degree of improbability as to appear flatly unbelievable, end quote. And I'll add, if a powerful sense of meaning is created by the event in the experiencer's mind, then it's a synchronicity. Now, you might be thinking this is all rather irrational, but that's precisely the nature of Circuit 5. The most prominent example of synchronicity is the case of the scarab beetle, which Jung used to explain the idea of synchronicity to others. This story has been told a million times, and I'll tell it again now. Jung was attempting to treat a very challenging patient. She was extremely rational and would not accept Jung's more open-minded view of she was a cynic. He knew she was not able to get through to her on a deeper level through normal talk therapy, or his usual process. One day, the woman began describing a significant dream of a golden scarab beetle. As she was describing this beetle in depth, Jung says he heard a tapping at the window behind him. He opened the window and saw a live goldish green beetle, one apparently not exactly native to the area, or at least rare. Astonished, Jung quickly grabbed the beetle and walked it over to the woman and said, "Here is your scarab." This meaningful coincidence, this synchronicity, was enough to break the woman out of her overly rationalist worldview. Their sessions after this event were apparently very fruitful, and she was cured of her ills. For me, this event can be described as a high-level Circuit 5 activation, bordering on Circuit 6. This experience broke her free from the status quo and allowed her to see the world in a more mythopoetic sense. Synchronicity is an ever-present reality for those that have eyes to see. One thing that should be clear from here on out is that the boundary between the objective world and the subjective world becomes less and less distinct as the higher circuits are activated. This blurring between objective and subjective starts with Circuit 5 activations and becomes blurrier and blurrier as we go up into the higher circuits.